A view from the abyss. The confession of Chikatilo. I'm standing on the edge of a precipice, and even though I can't talk about it, deep down I feel that this place has become my cage, and I'm a prisoner of my own desires. My name is Andrei Romanovich Chikatilo. I am the one who became a symbol of fear, who went down in history as the Rostov Ripper. I was born in a scary world where every day was a struggle. My parents were simple people, but I always felt isolated, separated from the world around me. Since childhood, I have not been given love, I have not been understood. And in this soulless environment, a dark side has arisen in me. I began to observe people, study their weaknesses, see how they live, and measure their happiness with my unbearable grief. My first bold attempt is just a mirage, a hint of the universal horror I am capable of causing, but I would rather be an animal that diligently hid among the sheep. It became interesting to me to see their defenselessness, their lives, while an unsatisfied passion burned in me. The day I took my first step into the abyss, the world around me suddenly turned black and white. I knew it was wrong, that no society would accept my actions, but an inner voice was screaming so loudly that I couldn't ignore it. I craved control, craved the opportunity to be more of a force than just an imaginary person from the environment. Each victim was like a glowing beacon for me, beckoning me into her heart. They could have easily become part of my world, but instead I turned them into shadows that no one knew about. This thrill, when I went out hunting, merged with the north wind. I could feel the adrenaline rushing through my veins as I approached them, drowning in my fantasies and enjoying the power I had over the defenseless. I remember every detail, their faces, their desperation, their fear. It was like art. Every scene was carefully planned and executed with grace. And even though I felt empty after each act, this cycle still pulled me back like a magnet. But something has changed. I was getting more and more careless. Isn't it strange how many dark ideas can surround a person who believes in himself? I started leaving footprints that could be used to track me. The instinct of self-preservation should have worked, but my thirst for destruction was stronger. In fact, I was caught up in the ignorance and torture of my own mind. And so, when I was caught, when I found myself face to face with justice, I realized that there was still a flame burning inside me. It's not over. When I see these faces, carried away by their dreams, I see myself in them. Every breath, every pain is a reminder that I am still here in this dark realm. I know they hate me. I have not been able to free myself from this dark side, and I have brought only suffering to all who were around, to all who were victims of my madness. I've been trapped by my own weaknesses, but that doesn't make it any easier. Every day I live with a dark part of myself, realizing that I am not who I would like to be. I'm just a shell, a reflection of the abyss, waiting in the wings every day. Maybe someday I'll be able to see the light, but for now it's just shadows. I don't deserve to be forgiven. I don't deserve to live, but in my soul I still thirst, and this fire cannot be extinguished. The first step into the darkness, the world around me, has always been perceived as something inappropriate. I was born in a simple village, for example, as a lost shadow among the trees. Every year I spent in this grey and joyless reality, something dark accumulated in me, something that little by little filled my soul with hatred and oppression. Even then, I realized that I was different from the others. The neighbors laughed and argued about their problems, and I felt my heart turn black with envy from their carelessness and happiness, noticeably standing out against the background of my troubled days. I dreamed of feeling like them, but something invincible is brewing inside me, a thirst for control, a thirst for power. The first murder occurred when I was still unaware of the fullness of my existence. It was a summer evening, when the air rang with the soft whisper of grasses, and the stars sparkled on the horizon. I went out for a walk to relieve myself of the burden of internal conflicts. That day, I noticed her, a young girl walking along the path alone. With every step I took, I felt a bonfire burning inside me, incomprehensible but not letting go. I watched her from afar, hiding in the shadows of the trees. There was a beauty in her carefree movements that I missed so much, but most of all, I was attracted by the thought of power. That even such a fragile person like her could become a part of my world, a world in which I control, where I set the rules. When she stopped to admire the night sky, something clicked in my inner world. For a moment, everything disappeared, and I was left alone with excitement and fear in my chest. I grabbed the knife I carried with me. It became a tool for me, the embodiment of my aspiration. Everything that happened after that became an integral part of my being, as if in slow motion. I jumped up to her. I saw bewilderment in her eyes, but it quickly changed to horror. Neither a scream nor a plea could have stopped what had already begun. With every movement of the knife, I could feel my dark side breaking free. The moment I hurt her, something happened in me that cannot be described in words. I felt both elation and emptiness. It was like an awakening, like the discovery of a new reality. She fell to the ground, her body becoming lifeless. It was like bells were ringing inside me. It was the moment when I stopped being a simple person and became something more than just madness. I didn't understand what had happened. I couldn't explain why I was so attracted to it. But in that moment, I felt alive, truly alive for the first time. After escaping from the crime scene, I felt the discoveries fighting with each other inside me. I knew that I had become a monster, but it only increased my excitement. I tried to forget, I tried to ignore, but this moment was the beginning of my inevitable fall into the abyss. I haven't been the same since. I became a hunter who was looking for a victim in order to continue experiencing this strange but exciting feeling in the face of death. Every moment of my life has become a struggle for me, in which I have forever left a part of myself in the darkest, farthest shadow. The first murder tears the soul apart and at the same time connects it with something terrible. I couldn't have avoided this fate. My dark side filled the void, and I was trapped by my own desires. Now, when I look back, I see that day as the moment of my destruction, and I know that it is no longer possible to return to my old life.